Hey, I'm Edward Norton, and these are 5 of my favorite films. A favorite film that you might have never heard of is Ruggles of Red Gap. It's a 1935 film starring Charles Laughton about a British butler who gets lost in a card game to a Western rancher and discovers himself in America. It's a comedy classic, and I discovered that film by watching the Coen Brothers movie Barton Fink, where one character says to another one,
"What the hell do you think this is, Hamlet? Going with the wind, Ruggles of Red? It's a goddamn B picture."
I didn't know what that meant, so I looked it up, and then I watched the film, and it's a classic. Number 4 that you might not have seen is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, starring Liz Taylor and Richard Burton.
Stop the car.
Martha.
We're going dancing.
For heaven's sakes.
Did you hear me?
All right, love, whatever love wants.
It's the great play by Edward Albee, made into really one of the great performance films of all time, and not to be missed. Number 3 is a Japanese film called Tampopo by the director Juzo Itami.
ではまず箸の先でですね、ラーメンの表面を鳴らすというか、撫でるというか、そういう動作をしてください。
A lot of people never got to see in America, but it really is one of my favorite films of all time. Tampopo is sometimes called the noodle western because it's about a woman's search to make the perfect ramen noodle and this Japanese cowboy who helps her on her quest. It's hard to even quantify what's great about this movie. Number 2 might be The King of Comedy, Martin Scorsese's film with Robert De Niro.
How do you do it?
I think it's that I look at my whole life and I see the awful, terrible things in my life and turn it into something funny.
Lots of people, of course, will talk about Taxi Driver or Raging Bull as the great films made by Scorsese and De Niro, but I think King of Comedy belongs right up in that group. It's one of De Niro's great performances as Rupert Pupkin, the kind of demented, aspiring comedian, and it's one of the greatest commentaries about America and fame, and has just like legendary performances by Jerry Lewis and Sandra Bernhard, in addition to De Niro, so check out The King of Comedy. My last film on my list would be The Cruise, which is a documentary by a friend of mine named Bennett Miller.
The Cruise is about the searchings for everything worthwhile in existence.
Bennett is better known for having been nominated for Best Director for directing Capote, but The Cruise was a documentary that he made about a tour bus driver in New York and his kind of philosophy of life. It's not only one of my favorite films ever made about New York, but I think it's one of the best examinations of what it means to be young and trying to find yourself in the world that I've ever seen. It's an absolutely beautiful film and very underappreciated, so check that one out, The Cruise. I'm Edward Norton. Those are 5 of my favorite films.